Hey Centaurs, welcome to another AutoCAD tutorial video. This time we're looking at something called relative coordinates, something that will help you work with ease and speed. So what are relative coordinates? It just means that when we draw a line, we're going to enter coordinates based on the x and y distance from whatever point came before it. And when we do this, when we type relative coordinates, we have to make sure AutoCAD knows that they're relative, and we do that by typing this symbol, the @ or ampersand. So here's a little example of that down below, just drawing on some graph paper. If you wanted to do the simplest thing we could do, a rectangle, what we would do is starting from 0, we would want to count the position of whatever point we want to set down first. So let's say we want to count this position from 0, we would count in the x direction, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then vertically in the y, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares. So when we write our coordinates, we always write the x followed by the y. Now the first coordinate here is actually what we call an absolute coordinate, where we're counting from 0, but we need that to start. And then from that coordinate, each following will be a relative. So we're going to move now to this point over here, and what we're going to do is we're going to count the number of boxes. For this first one, it's moving in the x direction, and it's moving by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares. So the way we would write this is we would use the @ symbol first, and we would write the number 8 for the x coordinate, showing that we've increased by 8, but the y coordinate would be 0 because the y did not change. Moving to our next corner, we're going to be moving vertically by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a change in y, but there's no change in x. So this would be written as at 0 in the x, comma 5. As we go around, everything's going to stay the same except for the fact that now we're moving in the negative. When we move to the left to this point, again we're moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but a move to the left is a negative x. So negative 8, and again no change in the y, that's 0. And moving downwards in the y by 5 squares is a negative as well. So our last move is at 0, negative 5. We could type this into AutoCAD without using the mouse. We would simply type the letter L for line, press enter. We would type in our absolute coordinate, 4, 6. So the first coordinate just gets typed in like that. We press enter, and then from there our relatives would always start with the @ symbol, so 8, 0, enter. 0, 5, enter, at negative 8, 0, and at 0, negative 5. If we were to type that into AutoCAD, we'd get a perfect rectangle just like you see on the grid paper. So let's jump over into AutoCAD. Let's try a couple examples together. I'm going to try this kind of split screen thing where I've got AutoCAD open as well as a couple images that we're going to try out. So in AutoCAD, just some quick document setup. We're going to go down to the customization bar down at the bottom right. Just double check that you've got coordinates turned on. You're in the model space. Grid and snap mode are turned on. We've got our units on. For units here, you can just stay in the default of decimal for this one. We won't need fractions. And just make sure you have your grid turned on here. For layers, you can click to create a new layer. I've already created one, and just name it visible. That's the only thing we're going to need for this drawing. All our objects are going to go on the visible layer. So let's get started with our letter H over here. I chose the letter H because, hey, great things start with the letter H, and it's a pretty simple one. All straight lines. So I've already written in our first starting point here. So starting from 0, we have a change of 3 in the x and 3 in the y. So this is an absolute coordinate of 3, 3. And then from there, these will each be relative coordinates. So for example, when we move to the right, we move by 3 squares. Oops, let's get a pen here. 1, 2, 3. So we would write this as at 3, 0. Let's write in a few points, moving vertically by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to here. So this would be no change in the x at 0, 8 for the y. Moving to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4 to this point. So at 4, 0. Moving downwards by 8 to this point here. So at 0, -8. To the right here, we're moving 3 squares in the x. So at 3, 0. This vertical move here, I counted it out. This is 20 squares up to here. So at 0, 20. Now all of these have been positive moves thus far, well, except for the one y move down here. And now we're going to have a bunch of negatives. So moving to the left, 1, 2, 3. It's going to be at -3, 0. Moving 8 squares downwards, we're going to be at 0, -8. Moving 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left, so at -4, 0, and moving vertically, so at 0, 8. I hope this is making some sense. We're just about finished this one here. 1, 2, 3. So at -3, 0, and then finally moving 20 squares down, so at 0, -20. So that was the hard part, is figuring out what the coordinates are, and after a while you can sort of just do that in your head with just a little bit of practice. So we go into AutoCAD. I'm going to try to do this with my hands off the mouse now, so we're just going to press L for the line tool, pressing enter. We're going to type in our first coordinate, 3, 3, with no @ symbol. That's an absolute coordinate. When I press enter, I get my starting point, and I'm just going to go around in the same order that I wrote those on my grid paper. So at 3, 0, at 0, 8, at 4, 0, at 0, -8. At 3, 0, at 0, 20, at -3, 0, at 0, -8, at -4, 0, at 0, at 0, 8, at -3, 0, and then finally at 0, -20. When we get to the end, we need to press escape on the keypad just to exit the tool. So you can see when you know the coordinates, it goes really fast and it's incredibly precise. We have an exact replica of our letter H. So let's do one more example together, and hopefully this is making sense to you. This is our next example, so just a very simple house. Let's, just like last time, let's go around and just name our coordinates. So I've already given an absolute coordinate of 15 in the x and 3 in the y. That's going to put us in a nice spot in our drawing file. So from there, our move to the right here is going to be a move in the x of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 squares. So at 10, 0. Moving vertically by 5, so at 0, 5. Now we haven't seen the diagonal yet. In this case, we're moving both in the x by 5 squares and in the y by 5 squares. So we would need to do at, the x coordinate is negative, so -5, and the y coordinate is +5. Moving back down by 5 and to the left by 5. To get to here, we would be at -5 in the x and negative 5 in the y. Finally, moving down to our starting point, this is a move of 5, so negative 5y. Okay, this point here for the window, I need to give you an absolute coordinate here. So if this is 15 in the x, this would be 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And it would be 6. We can figure out the relative coordinates from there. Let's give it a try. Back into AutoCAD. We'll type L for line tool, enter, and let's start at the 15, 3, and let's work our way around. So from there, relative coordinates at 10, 0, then at 0, 5, at negative 5, 5, at negative 5, negative 5, at 0, negative 5. When we get back to the starting point, we press escape to exit our tool, and then we'll start with the line tool again for our window. So L and enter, and our first absolute coordinate is 21, 6. From there, you can see actually it just moves 2 squares every time, so just need to keep track of the x and y's. The first one would be at 2, 0, because we have a change of 2 in the x, and then at 0, 2. So let's try that out. At 2, 0, and then at 0, 2, and then we repeat but with negative. So at negative 2, 0, and at 0, negative 2. So there you have it. Completed 2 relative coordinates assignments. Now the final thing that you're going to do here, you've followed along with me and you've entered the coordinates as I've given them to you, but I want to give you a chance to try that out for yourself. So for your assignment, in this same drawing file somewhere over here, you're going to pick and include one of these little Space Invader guys. You can pick one. If you want to do 2, you can do that as well. I picked these because they're already superimposed on a grid here. Let's say you wanted to do this guy, for example. Just pick a coordinate to start. So let's say you picked this coordinate here, and then in AutoCAD, maybe that lower left corner, just start that somewhere over here. And then from that point, you can do relative coordinates. Let's maybe change to a different color here. So if I were moving from here to here, that would be a move in the x of 1 square. So you would be at 1, 0. Moving vertically by 2 squares at 0, 2, and so on and so on. You can work your way around the outside of the Space Invader, and this will also be handed in as part of your relative coordinate assignment. Alright, so just wrapping things up here, your Space Invader is going to belong somewhere here in your file. When you're finished, make sure you save in your A drive and call this one Relative Coordinates with your name. And when you are completed, make sure you turn in the team's assignment and attach this file to your assignment for marks. Great job!